G'day everyone, and welcome to ComicsMATE, your mates in comics from the land down under. I'm Dean James, and today we're going to be talking about how X-Men 97 was doomed to fail in the hands of Disney, despite the show not being all that bad. It definitely had its problems, the animation being almost entirely terrible, the rushed and cramped storylines that could have easily been fixed had they cut out the filler episodes, and if you have a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to wokeness, it certainly won't pass your judgment. But despite all of that, it was Disney and their incessant virtue signaling that has arguably destroyed any chances this show had at being a smash hit. But before we get into all that, please like this video to help push it out into the algorithm and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. Now let's jump right into it. X-Men 97 flops. Disney Plus is a dead streaming platform. In spite of mostly positive reviews from both sides of the culture war, Disney's X-Men 97 appears to be a complete flop in terms of viewership. For weeks now, the show hasn't managed to break into the Nielsen top 10 ratings, making it the worst performing Marvel show on Disney Plus, in spite of the initial news that the show had managed to draw in 4 million views for its debut episode. Which was one of the most viewed premieres for a Disney Plus show, the series doesn't seem to be retaining viewers. Worse yet, the show doesn't seem to have brought in any new subscribers or given any reason for old subscribers to renew. Well yeah, because it's just not enough. As the title of this article states, Disney Plus is a dead platform. It has nowhere near enough good stuff to justify its increasingly ridiculous prices, and the fact that you can't trust any Disney program with your kids for half an hour without them spitting alphabet mafia nonsense down their throats, it's no wonder that most families are cutting it from the monthly budget. Although the show does appear to be a faithful adaptation, it appears that's not enough to stop Disney Plus's decline. There are reasons why the show may have had a much more chaotic start than was ever necessary. Those reasons being the massive virtue signaling and downright toxic marketing campaign before the show's release. Let's be honest here, and this is for any of you woke Twitter-brained idiots that may find this video. The X-Men are proof that woke and progressive are two different things, and no matter how much you want to pretend otherwise, woke ideas are just not popular. The creators of this show really should have led their marketing with "this is going to be a great show," instead of "we made Morph non-binary," which is honestly just nonsense. Because that obviously drove away more viewers than it gained. People are sick of the pandering to the far left, and all of these constant changes to established characters has most people just tuning out entirely. With the Nielsen and Samba ratings released, X-Men 97 doesn't appear on the charts at all. This makes history for Disney Plus, as the series is performing worse than Miss Marvel and What If, which both at least hit the top 10 of streaming for the Disney Plus service. And those shows are both hot garbage. Early on, a lot of the marketing became tainted with potential fans when the character of Morph was declared to be non-binary. This change made little sense, given the character showed no signs of this, and the terminology did not exist back in the 90s, which is when the show was meant to take place.
But Dean, it does make sense that a character who can change into anything would be non-binary, because they can be a man or a woman.
Nice try, strawman I just made up. Fact of the matter is that non-binary is just a made-up term that really doesn't mean anything. And the character in question, Morph, whose real name is Kevin Sidney, has always been a man. Being a mutant with the ability to disguise yourself as anyone doesn't make you not the thing you really are. That's like saying you would forget who you really are if you go to too many costume parties. Not to mention, he wouldn't be confused about who he is because he didn't always have that ability. Because as we all know, mutants don't develop their powers until puberty. But let's just say you're right for the sake of argument. The term non-binary wasn't even a thing in the 90s, so he wouldn't be referred to as such in 1997. Also, he was only referred to as them once in the entire series in a sentence that can be easily cut out for the Chinese audiences that won't put up with this bullshit. So again, Bo DeMaio really should have led with "this show is going to be good," instead of "we are arbitrarily changing characters just for the sake of virtue signal brownie points." This arbitrary change may have managed to eventually be accepted by former fans of the show, but fan accounts would then continue to throw gasoline onto the fire by accusing those upset of being bigots, as well as saying how the X-Men aren't for them and they shouldn't bother to watch. Even with the positive reviews that came in after the debut in March, the brand appeared to already be tainted. For some, it was best to just not watch, since they were being told not to. And others just lost interest in another culture war battle over the cartoon. And if these ratings are anything to go by, it looks like that's what most people did. And while the initial premiere was viewed by subscribers of Disney Plus and was popular for the platform, it seems to not be able to retain all of those initial viewers, who seem to have lost interest in keeping up with the show weekly. It's been proven over and over again at this point that woke Twitter-brained weirdos don't actually spend money on any of these things they champion on social media. They just want everything to be about them, and even if you give it to them, they still won't buy your product. So with them not buying anything, and with you pushing away actual fans because of unpopular and divisive politics, who exactly do you have left? Nobody. That's who. Meanwhile, more diehard fans of the comics who would be the target audience for a show that's directly adapting storylines have already given plenty of reason not to give Disney another cent. Although it's impossible to say just how much this has impacted the potential viewers of the show, instead, the true failure is that Disney Plus as a platform is simply not worth the money it costs. While a cost of $7.99 per month, with ads, is hardly that much in the budget, the actual content received is much too minimal when compared to what is offered on Netflix or Hulu. I'd be willing to bet that Disney's brand being completely toxic at this point is almost entirely to blame for this newest X-Men failing to capture any new viewers. We've all seen it on social media before. People simply don't trust Disney anymore. This show wasn't even that bad, but the quality doesn't matter to the general audience when Disney is involved. They simply aren't going to give Disney any of their hard-earned money. Even if the potential customers who were chased away by abysmal marketing came back, the actual expense for the account just wouldn't make sense. Disney Plus simply does not have enough content to keep up an active subscriber base. And with them pulling back on original content, there will be even less reason to have a Disney Plus account. For real. Even the stuff that is on Disney Plus has been heavily edited for the sake of the mythical modern audience, and older shows like The Simpsons have been cropped to fit the 16:9 widescreen TVs, meaning you can't even see the entire thing. X-Men 97 should have been a far bigger premiere for the platform. For it to truly be successful, it needed to bring in new and returning customers. Unfortunately, it did not. On top of that, its viewership appears to have dwindled significantly. That said, the show is being reviewed positively, and it seems to have generated a loyal fan base, so the likelihood of another season is going to be high. However, there may be cuts to the budget, as the series will also need to find a new person to lead its production after firing the creator, Bo DeMaio, prior to the release. There was always going to be a season 2, because both the seasons were made at the same time. It's season 3 that probably won't happen, unless of course viewer numbers go up in the second season. There's still been no reason given for the sudden and unexpected termination, and in an interview back in March, Brad Winderbaum, who heads the animation department for Marvel Studios, was vague on any real details. Since news of the termination, DeMaio's social media accounts were scrubbed clean, only adding further to the mystery. Even without confirmation from Disney, everyone knows why Bo DeMaio was fired. It's because he has an OnlyFans account where he does man-on-man prawn. And even Disney isn't so far gone that they want promotion for their family-friendly cartoon being side by side with naked men rubbing against each other. Because that's what his Instagram was before he removed it. Naked dude, X-Men, naked dude, X-Men. However, his contributions to the second season are already completed, so the quality of the show likely will not change too much for fans. That's a shame, to be honest, because the quality of the animation specifically desperately needs improvement. I hope you don't take this video as me hating the show. Even though I can't say I recommend it, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't let my kids watch it, but it's okay for a fan who is familiar with the comic stories they are desperately squashing references into in as many places as they can. The show definitely needs a better writing team though. There's way too much filler in this series that could be cut out entirely to make room for the stuff that people actually care about. I'm looking at you, episode 4 and 5. Honestly, what this show needs the most is much better marketing. Virtue signaling in 2024 doesn't work the way it did 5 years ago. In fact, it does the opposite. More people are turned off when they try to focus on identity or sexuality over good stories, and wokeness does not equal progressive. But that's just how Disney does things these days, and that's why public opinion on them is in the dumps. Either way, that's all I have for you today. My name's Dean James, your mate in comics from the land down under. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.